Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to create and submit a homework assignment. The first thing you're going to need to do is log into the RStudio software from the link midway down your course page like this to the RStudio web server, and you'll use your university ID and password just like you do for email and other university applications. Your RStudio windows will open kind of like this, mostly empty. And what we need to do is get the homework information from our Moodle page up to RStudio where you can do the work. And so on this particular page, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find the file called Practice Homework Markdown file. This is a set of instructions that needs to get up into RStudio. And there's a data file here called glucose data file that this needs to go up there as well because we're going to use it. So let's click on these two files and bring them up to RStudio using this process. So click on Practice Homework Markdown file, and it says, do we want to open it or do we want to save it? And we want to save the file to the local computer that we're sitting on. And I'm going to click OK, and you will see this downloads flash indicator that there is a download to my downloads folder on my computer. I'm going to do the same thing for the glucose data file. I'm going to click it. I'm going to save the file to my computer. Notice the blue flash to my local computer. And that means that those files are sitting here in my downloads folder. Glucose CSV and RMD practice homework sitting in my downloads folder. Now what I need to do is get it that information up to RStudio into the Files tab in the Work area. So I'm going to click down here on the Files tab and click on Upload, and then I'm going to browse and find the files that I need to bring up to the server. And there's the first one right here, glucose, and I'll click Open and then OK, and you will notice that in the Files tab there's a glucose data file that has appeared. Let's upload the instructions file, upload, browse my local computer, and get the practice homework file, open it, and bring it up to the server by OK. And you'll notice now we have the practice homework markdown file located where we need it to do work. I'm going to click on it to open up that set of instructions. And hopefully from other RStudio videos you've watched, you know that there is a combination of instructions to the computer and typing like a word processor, and hopefully the other videos you've seen help you go through that process. The main thing I want to stress here at this point is to make sure your packages are all loaded. If this is early in the course and you're watching this video, you've got to make sure these packages are loaded so that work can be performed. This will be one of the first steps you take in the class. And you can see all of these packages here in lines 10 to 16. All of these packages need to be installed. And so if this is your first time in RStudio, or maybe even the second time, you need to make sure these packages are installed. And you'll do that in the lower right corner under the Packages tab. Click on Install, and a little window opens up where you can type the names of the packages. Knitter, Mass, ggplot2, H miscellaneous, Open intro, ALR4, and Sleuth with a capital S 3. And then install those packages. Click on Install, and it will take several minutes for all of these packages to get installed, and you can see the process down here in the console. You can see that there's a red stop sign which indicates that the machine is running, and you just want to wait until that's done doing that. You'll know when the installation is done when the red stop sign disappears. It looks like it's finished, and then we can get on about our business doing the homework. In order to really answer the questions in this homework, you're going to need to have looked at some output and some graphs and some information in order to answer the questions. And so one of the first things you want to do is process this document so you can look at the output in a way that you can see it and understand it. And you process this file of instructions by clicking on the knit HTML button, and you click on it and you can see it's processing and doing things, and in a moment it will finish and you'll be able to see your output. And so here is a processed web page document, and as you scroll through it you can see there's some printed statistics, there's some graphics, and a bunch of things that you need to do this practice homework. And we can close it or we can push it aside and consult it as we need to, but for example, as we scroll down in this file of instructions, you can see a place where we could put our first name and our last name, and you type in something for this. For example, we'll do John Anderson. And maybe down farther in here, when it asks for something like in problem 1A, it says do the histogram. We saw what it looked like, describe the shape, and I'm going to give a very bad answer right here where it says to answer this question, you should not do this, but just for example you'd say the shape was very exciting, very lovely. And that would be a very bad answer for this question, but that's how you'd answer something. And when you get finished answering all of these questions by typing what you need to type where it says answer, you'll process your document again for the final time, and hopefully everything is how you like it. And when it's done processing in a second here, there's the name. John Anderson is the name of the document, and then when we go down to the shape of the histogram, you can see it says the answer. The shape was very exciting, very lovely. And let's say, for example, you're happy with these answers and you want to submit this homework. You need to submit this file, but please don't try to click anything up here like publish or open or anything like this. You close this viewing window and notice down in the Files tab you have a RMD Practice Homework HTML file that has never been there before. This is the file you need to submit to me for homework on Moodle. And the problem is right now it's up here in your RStudio workspace, and we need to get it down to your local computer and then back up again into the course Moodle. So how are we going to do that? Well, we click on this checkbox and we go to More and we click on Export. We have to select the file we want to move, and then we go to Export. And is this really what we want to do? It's going to be downloaded. Is this the name we want, and so forth? And you say, yep, let's download it. And it asks, what do we want to do? Do we want to open it or save it? We don't want to open it. We want to save it. So make sure you save the file, and it will go to your downloads folder. Perfect. Then what you need to do to submit the homework is go back to your Moodle page and find the submission link. And you'll notice there's one right here called Practice Homework Submission Link. And you click on it, and it opens up. Let's see. Okay, let's try that again. You click on Practice Homework Submission Link, and the page opens up, and it says, there's been no attempt or anything, and you're going to add your submission. So click on Add Submission, and you'll see a place where you can drag your file right into this submission area, I'm going to do that from my Downloads folder. And here is my HTML that I'm going to drag down here. Practice Homework HTML. I put it in there. Save changes. And my homework has been submitted. And then we can always go back if you want to do a newer version of the homework or whatever. Maybe you realize you made a mistake on one question and you want to fix it. You can always get rid of the file that's put here. I just clicked on the previous file that we submitted. I can delete it. And is it okay, I want to delete this file? Let's say I do. And then I can go to my Downloads folder and take the version I want to submit. And make sure you always submit an HTML file and save changes. And you're done. You can worry about your other classes or go have dinner or whatever. You have now submitted your homework. As I said, you can always go back and get rid of a submission or write over it if you want to. I want to point out something that we saw up here in this Downloads folder. You'll notice in my Downloads folder there's been 3 versions of this Practice Homework HTML that have been downloaded to this folder. And there's a version 3 that's been put here, and this is the one I want to submit. But these different versions can often cause problems up here in RStudio. So for example, let me change the name of this Practice Homework document. I'm going to click on it and click Rename, and I'm going to illustrate a file name that will cause trouble. So sometimes if you've downloaded many versions of this instructions file, you might have a parentheses 4. And this, with version numbers in the name, version numbers that are in the name of the file typically cause trouble. So if you ever see that you have uploaded an instructions file that has parentheses in it, you should think very carefully and try to get rid of them. And how you get rid of it is to click on it, click on the name, and do a rename. And go into the rename box and take away the parentheses and any spaces. It's the parentheses and the spaces in the file name that cause trouble, and it's one of the most frequent problems that students have processing their homework. So if you get file names or like glucose, a lot of times if another student has been working on the same computer as you, you'll have glucose parentheses 2 because there's 2 versions. Get rid of the version numbers and make sure they're just plain file names. Hopefully that'll help you, give you an idea about how to do homework for this class. Let me know if you have questions.